interaction with extraterrestrials, both in this lifetime
that
and
was in the 80s.
past lifetime.
Yeah, 90s.
Huh?
That was in the 90s.
Right. So
I'm
done talking. Do you want to go next, Karen, or you want to address this, or do you want to take it, TJ? I just wanted to drop that bomb. And
no, Karen can go. It's her turn
left.
next. Karen, you got 5 minutes.
If y'all have something to complete, go ahead and complete it because, just go ahead and complete what you were saying. That's most important.
Okay.
Because I don't really have anything specific. There's a flow going between you two that needs to continue.
Okay, well, I don't want your followers to get upset with us, Karen, because you still get 5 minutes then. We'll just swap, Janet. Swap my 5 minutes for Karen's. All right, so that was in the 90s, and what happened, Karen and whoever's listening, Janet's followers, Karen's followers, the UFO Association followers, is I didn't know, and nor did my husband, that we were on a UFO mission. We were on the UFO mission separate. So when we found out, Janet put the story together by putting our backgrounds together somehow. But what she's talking about is I did come on her show, and some of the Roswell intelligence came out through me. I don't know if you want to call me a channeler, oracle, a medium, or just me, because I have various levels of conscious, subconscious, but I was trained in the various levels. And when I was at Lowry Air Force Base, in my sleep, I do know that, and I do know when I went to Lowry, they gave me a sodium pentothal, a little bit sort of creamy, white, yellowy stuff. But they said that the nurse said she didn't, but I'd been a corpsman, and I know you don't push in and then swap and then put the new tube in to draw blood. I just drawing blood. It's like, no, and it changed the way I felt. So I have a lot of issues that I've got to go through telling this story because they're very deep. So Janet did a deep dive once and got me off guard, and I started remembering, like Karen, you'll hear, we have these videos go off in our head. So the way I remember it is I was reliving a video in my head, which is what Tom could do. Now, some people call them portals, and I know the extraterrestrials train us to open portals, and that Graham Hancock or Graham somebody was on our show with Janet. He wanted me to teach him stuff like that.
Grant Cameron.
Okay, Grant Cameron. Well, Grant had almost gotten me to a point. If I like somebody, I'll do my best to help educate them. But we all can do this, so it's not about levels. It's about what you already know how to do and where do you get that knowledge. So the government, in all my years, I believe they had different intelligence agencies trying to find out how to do this in space. And also my husband and I were comparing notes of we kept saying it was nuclear, microwaves. We would confuse them because they were trying to hear like C-SETI. And I talked to the lady that they did the movie about. Anyway, it was all involved, including Don Berliner. I said Berliner, and it was Berliner. But there was people that were investigators in the 80s and 70s. So I'm putting all this together. But I don't know, and I think the government, some form of government wanted me to put the extraterrestrial story together. I truly believe that. Now, I don't know which one, though. I don't know if it's the Navy or the CIA said, do you mind if we buy your contract? Or if it was the U.S. Treasury, because I wound up working for the U.S. Treasury because they told me I was. I don't know who owns the knowledge anymore. They call it intellectual property. So now that I'm retired, I guess it's mine and the radio show here, or mine, Karen's, and Janet. I don't know. All I know is people were after the intellectual property and that I was an operating agent. I was a freelance. So Janet was able to get a piece of me, and I know that whenever I would, things would change in my life. People would get upset. Some things would be shut down. I was on one with Janet and me, had Alfred Lambermont Weber, and he got shut down. He said it's complicated. He took it off because a friend of mine in Texas, Jim Mars, and then some Scientology people out got in touch with me, and they came on mine and Janet's show. So this is very deep, folks. It's very layered. A lot of people want the knowledge, but especially the people that get us in space. So I had for a while a lot of different government contractors that do, like Grumman, Northrop, all these different people were trying to get what I knew. And some of the people would call me individually, scientists or engineers, wanting to know how these things worked. So I helped some of them on some quantum levels and some on creating holograms in your living room. I got that from Tom. But a lot of it is psychic abilities, and Janet found Karen. But Preston Nickell, I wanted to work with him on some levels because Dr. Laura Sturgis was working on that. So a lot of people were working on it. I just didn't know at what time or at what point in I was supposed to work on it. But Janet, that was in the 90s. And Tom and I met and repelled each other over this UFO base. And that's going to be a long story, but we keep coming back to Roswell because that story was, like Janet said, and she talked to Linda Moulton Howell about it, was the fact that we called it a Trojan horse. So the extraterrestrials I worked with said they put them intentionally to monitor. And she asked how I knew that, and I said, I believe I said I was there. Didn't I, Janet? So,
yes, and I have that cute. I have that conversation on aquariumradio.com on today's issue, and it says Ascension Center contact TJ and Janet dialogue. There's a link to the original conversation we had about Gus, and you talk about when the 5 craft were delivered simultaneously on 5 continents, including Roswell in the U.S. and Pine Gap in Australia, and somewhere in China.
And they were monitoring, including that future that they built the wall. There was something going on there, and I didn't know all the details. I can only share what I know when I know it, but I do know that the part that they let me know, they would teach me or tell me, and they were beings in human form, or they would talk with us with these holograms. It's like television. They can come on my television, but nobody knows it. So it's like they have their own private channel. So what I was curious in was the ES portion, because that it's at such a low frequency or a different frequency, and in our science and our governments and all around the world, they can't detect them. And so it's like another dimensional level of energy, because we got through Einstein that E equals MC squared. But I also found out that they helped him, and they helped Tesla. And I got that firsthand, and they would let them go into a little trance and hold bricks in their hand. And I found that very interesting, and I got to see videos. So sometimes when Janet would ask me how I know things, I would see the videos in my head when the extraterrestrials I was around could do that to me. So I totally believe in ESP and that they have abilities. Now, I think that the people that were using me... Okay, I'll quit.
Try turning your mic down a little bit. No, don't stop. Don't start. I think your mic is too hot. That's why it's...
yeah, I can hear some noise. Down. And I was going to share something with that.
Try turning your mic down a little bit.
Go ahead. I'm on mute.
Yeah.
Okay, so Karen, your turn. We're running out of time.
Well, I was just going to share, I think it's very interesting. You said this was in 93 and 94, and in 93 and 94 is when I got this video from Preston Nickell, and it just said, "Enjoy, Karen." And I never knew who that was, nor do I know how they found me. That was after I did the Whitfield experience in Virginia and West Virginia that I told you all about. With the psychiatrist at the clinic. But it was some years, 4 or 5 years later, but that happened. And I didn't know who he was, and then I took an interest in the Philadelphia experiment and did what I've talked about this, I think, on one of our other shows. But when she was bringing up the time, it was all, that's whenever we were all connected on some level of dimensional reality. It wasn't here. And it had a lot of ET energy, and it drew these other 2 friends of mine also to be interested, and we went out exploring out in Garland where Allende had some records. You know what I'm talking about, TJ, y'all?
No. In Garland?
I was on mute.
What record?
There was Garland.
I said,
yeah.
What did you say?
Well, it's Garland,
Go ahead,
Texas.
Karen.
It's a suburb of Dallas. And this Allende, who was supposed to be an ET, who is tied into the Philadelphia experiment, I don't remember his first name, that he had some records out there. There were some records. So when you were talking about this Preston Nichols, all of this happened at the same time with me. I didn't know anybody. I had no contact of any of these people. And I still, to this day, don't know how they found me.
Well, I was told about Karen, and so I was told about you, but I don't. My husband and I went out in Texas. I thought you were going to be a point of contact for the kind of work we were doing, and it was about we went out and there was
this?
I guess well, you had to live there because you were going to be the point of contact, but we were seeing extraterrestrials and ghosts. And the energy. And so you must have been involved in helping me. That was ESP.
93 and 94.
Yeah, and Dolores Cannon was involved because she was teaching people from the Air Force. She worked for the Air Force. Her husband did.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they lived on the Air Force base.
Wait, one at a time. You guys are talking over
Okay, we're getting there.
Again.
Yeah.
Okay. We're getting it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Karen,
she was great.
TJ, you can...
It's okay. It's okay. I was just going to say that whenever I was doing a reading for somebody in the building where I live in a building and I have a place of work that's on another level, on another floor. And when I have some real deep people or people who really need help, I go down there. And she had already passed, and she actually made an appearance and helped me with this particular person. I've never met her in person. I never did, but I know she passed around 2014, I think, wasn't it?
You're talking about Dolores Cannon? What are you talking about?
Dolores Cannon.
She's involved with both of us.
Dolores Cannon.
She's
a hypnotherapist, and she was also an empath. No, she was real. Her daughter, I think, took over her business.
Yeah. I mean, when I met her, she was human form, but she's on the other side
I
now.
never got to. She is. I think she died in 2014, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Well,
do you know when she
passed? No, I can look it up though. But I was supposed to be at her. The government or the ETs, somebody arranged it for me, and she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry you missed her." But I told her I'd be in one in the future, and I called her daughter, and she was going to arrange with her, but they never got back to me. They would put me off. I think they dropped. They didn't know that Dolores and the ETs were working together to put my story with hers or something. I don't understand. But Dolores was. She was working on somebody. But the government, and remember my husband took me through to her office. Let's see. All right, well, let me tell Janet who she is. Yeah, she died. She died 2014.
Yeah, go ahead.
She died December 18th, 2014.
I met her in February of 2014 in person.
And
wow. When I was in line waiting to get her, I bought her books, her books. I was in line to get an autograph from this big, tall man. He reached back with his elbow and he gave me an uppercut and he broke my tooth and I was in
excruciating pain
the entire conference.
Oh my God!
And so, interesting connection. Why Dolores had. I didn't get to say hi to her, but I had just gotten punched in the mouth, and it was like, whoa, I got to pull it together and talk to Dolores. But she was great. She was really great. She was no longer standing when she did a presentation. She said they brought in a big overstuffed chair, and she said, "I'm sorry, I can't stand anymore." And she died later that year, so I'm blessed to her here. Okay, so this is the end of our show. We're going to be going off. We'll do this again next week. So everybody say goodbye. I think I'll do that. But anyway, this is Janet here, Lessin. Tune in again next week. Thank you very much. And Karen, say goodbye. And then TJ, do you have any music, but not the stuff that's copyrighted.